Well, Rick and I were out in my dory. It's a 21-foot dory that I use for commercial fishing for halibut, and use it for recreation and subsistence hunting and fishing. And we got caught in a storm. We were out in Chatham Strait, I think. I can't remember exactly where. But Rick, we were starting to get really banged around. I had a 115 horse Suzuki on the 21-foot dory. Had a lot of power and speed, actually. It was flat bottom. And flat bottom boat's great when it's calm or when you're in big swells, but when you're in 3-4 foot chop, it knocks your teeth out. And we were in 3 and 4 foot chop, and the wind kept picking up, and so did the storm, the rain, and it was getting kind of scary. And I was asking Rick what we should do, and he said, head for that little island over there. He pointed to this island, and from a distance it looked like it was all rock around the outside, anyhow, steep rock. And I said, that one? And he goes, yeah, head over there. And so I kept paddling closer to it, or not paddling, we kept driving closer to it, and kept trying not to get my teeth knocked out of my mouth. And we kept going and going, and the closer we got, the worse it looked. It looked almost like there were cliffs around the side of it. And I go, Rick, where are you supposed to go there? There's not any place to beach it or anchor it where it's not going to get banged up on the rocks. And he goes, just keep heading over there. And I go, okay. Rick knew the water. He knew the island, apparently. I'd never been there. It was someplace off of Admiralty. I don't recall exactly where. But the closer I got, the worse it looked. There's waves just smashing into the walls and towering up into the air afterwards. It was pretty rough. And we kept getting closer to it, and he said, head over toward the left side of it. And I go, where are we supposed to go, Rick? And he said, just keep going that way. And so I kept going around the left side of it and looking at the big rocks in between. And I was getting more and more nervous because I didn't want to be out in the middle of a storm. There were reefs out there. There were things there were breakaway logs that they logged, and the Japanese logging ships they'd overstack them. They'd fill up the hold, then they'd fill up the deck so it's 20, 30 feet high, and a lot of times they lost logs. It was worth their risk because they were worth so much to them. But those logs, the big hemlocks and spruce, they would barely, after they'd been in the water for a while, they'd barely break the surface. You could hardly see them. So it's really be quite easy to run into one and just stove in the front of the boat, or else take your lower unit off. So I was not a happy camper out there. And we're plowing ahead, and the closer we get, the worse it looks. And off to the left, there's kind of a little peninsula with the shallower rocks, but the water's just frothing over them. And he goes, keep going the left side. And I go, okay. And it was just kind of blind faith just listening to him, because I knew what he was doing, supposedly. But it wasn't looking any better. And I went on the left side, like he said, and then he said, okay, head into the island. And I go, what? It's just a sheer wall there. And he goes, just head in right there, right where I'm pointing. And I'm going, Rick, there's nothing there. And he said, just go ahead straight for it. So anyhow, I started toward basically a sheer rock wall. And as I got closer, it was kind of like a double vision kind of thing. It was like I was seeing the wall at two different planes, and we got closer, and then I saw there was a little channel broken down through the edge of the rocks. It was maybe, I don't know, I suppose 20 yards wide. You couldn't see it very easy at all from the water. You couldn't see it until you got really close to it. And then I pulled into it, and it was relatively calm in that little channel, and I kept going forward, and I kept going forward in the channel, and then all of a sudden it opened up into a huge lagoon. And it was, I don't know if it was a washed out volcano, if it was a volcano or what, but the whole center was filled with fishing boats. And Rick turns to me, and I turn to him, and he smiles, and he said, "Hey Chips, welcome to the Lord's Pocket." And it was a place of haven, a place of rest in the midst of storms, and the fishermen knew where to go. I don't know what I would have done if he wasn't with me. Figured something out, I suppose, but anyhow, finding a haven in the midst of a storm. Sometimes our lives can feel pretty overwhelming. You know, when we go up north, when we come into the North Country, get back in, a lot of times but part of the reason is to get away from it all. You know, paying bills and phone calls and trying to keep on top of the job and dealing with the needs of the kids and shuffling Joey to his soccer match and Emily to her violin lessons, and you know, you're just tearing all over the place, and then you get someone sick in the household and you're trying to deal with the illness, and it's just, sometimes it's just too much, you know. You feel kind of overwhelmed, and then sometimes there's something that will just push you way over the edge, where you just you just can't deal with it anymore, and you want to throw your hands up. And when you get up into the North Woods, it's a reprieve, you know. You get a reprieve, and you can kind of let your hair down. You still have to deal with challenges like the rough water, the weather and the bugs, and just finding a campsite, and all those things are kind of challenges, but they're good challenges. They're of a different type, and they're really kind of cool. Or it's kind of cool just to get away from the usual stuff. Now I've got a Zoleo for communicating with my loved ones when I need to, and that's good. But it's also not real. It takes away some of that. It takes away some of that that getting away from it all. And, so that's part of the reason we go up there, but then we go back, and then we got to deal with all that stuff, and sometimes it's in spades because it's multiplied, you know, while we've been gone. And a lot of times when people are feeling over the edge, like there's just too much, and they're starting to feel powerless over their lives, and they're looking for some reprieve, you know, a deeper kind of reprieve. A lot of times that's when people turn to spirituality. Maybe they'll start meditating, or maybe they'll do yoga, or whatever they might want to do. Maybe they're experimenting with prayer, but they start trying to find some way to cope with the difficulties that they've been facing. It takes away some of that. It takes away some of that that getting away from it all. And so that's part of the reason we go up there. But then we go back and then we got to deal with all that stuff. And sometimes it's in spades because it's multiplied, you know. And how about you? Have you found a place of rest in the middle of the frenetic activities of your life? Have you found your own place in the Lord's pocket?
Guard their hearts and their minds.